Okay, so you're gonna watch a video, and in this video, you're going to be making this foldable. So it has 4 doors, see that? 4 doors, right? And there's a back to it. All right, so what we're gonna be doing is doing the foldable to learn how to identify and predict the products for a synthesis reaction, a decomposition reaction, a single replacement reaction, a double replacement reaction, and a combustion reaction. These are 5 types of reactions. So if you look at the foldable, the way the foldable is set up, here's synthesis, it's symbolized by S. Here's decomposition, symbolized by D. Single replacement, SR, and double replacement, DR. Now on the front is how to identify them. We'll go over that. And then inside each flap is how to predict the products, right? See, and here's how to predict the products of decomposition. Here's how to predict the products of a double replacement. And here's the combustion, how to predict it, and it's symbolized by C. How to identify it, and then how to predict the products. The products of a combustion are always CO2 and H2O. Once you predict the products, you have to create the compounds, and then you have to balance the equation. The last part of it is you have to put in the states of matter, and that's here on the back. So this is all, like almost the entire unit, balancing the equations, and then we have one more thing to do for this unit. So you'll be able to use this on the test, so you want to make this as complete and as neat as possible. Once you make this, we'll go over how to use it and how to do this process, okay? To do this, you're going to need, in your bin, a pair of scissors, a glue stick. You're going to need 1 double-sided sheet. It's got 2 sides to it. And then one of the single-sided sheets, because you're going to cut this up and put this inside your foldable. Okay, and pick your color of paper. So you're going to pause the video now and pick those things. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn the paper this way, and we're going to fold it in half and just pinch the sides here and here. Just pinch them. So line it up, pinch the sides. You don't want to fold it all the way across. Just do a little pinch here and a little pinch here. That way you know where the middle is, here and here. Then you're going to fold the outside in and put a fold there. Okay. Then you're going to fold this side in, and you're going to put a little fold here. And that way you have your 2 flaps. 1, 2. Those are your 2 flaps, like that. Okay? All right, next, we need to make it so that we can cut our little windows. Our windows here, we got to cut these windows here. So you're going to take this and fold it up, like this, in half, like this, and just do a little pinch right there. That's all you need, just a little pinch so that you see where the middle is. And then take your scissors, and this is the only part that you need your scissors for, and you're going to cut straight over just to the fold. See, I'm cutting just to the fold. That's it. Okay? And then on the other side, you're going to do the same thing, straight over just to the fold. And that is your foldable, see, with the doors. Okay, now we're going to start in the inside. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to put our symbols in. So this is the box that we're putting in right here. A and B are metals, comma, positive. X and Y are nonmetals, comma, negative. O is oxygen, and 8 is hydrogen. You want to do this not huge, because you want to leave room underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to line these up so that we get it nice and neat in the middle. And I'm going to put A and and B, nice and neat. Our metals. Positive. And put a box around it. Nice and neat like that. That is your legend. So you're going to want to notice mine is not centered. That is okay. It doesn't matter. All right? So pause and complete that. Okay, next we're going to move on and we're going to start with the first one here in number 1. I'm going to make this first window here, okay, which is synthesis. So number 1, this is reaction 1. It is synthesis. It's symbolized by a capital S, synthesis. Now the way that we identify synthesis by synthesis reaction has only one product. Flip those open, it's easier. Only one product. And you also might notice that it has 2 elements combining. So for example, you also might see something that looks like this. XO, which is a non-metal and an oxygen. So for example, carbon monoxide plus water. So that also is considered to be a synthesis. Or you might also see a metal plus oxygen. That also might be a synthesis. So those are the 4 possible syntheses that you might see. Now, when you see these, what do? So we do the following. Okay, so pause if you're not done. Finish that. Okay, now you're going to open the door, and on the inside is going to be, well, what do you do? So here's what you do. If it's a metal, plus a metal, see, these are the 2 metals, because if you look over here, A and B are metals. They're both positive. So a metal and a metal would give you a no reaction, NR, no reaction. And the reason is because you never have a positive and a positive. That just doesn't ever happen. Doesn't ever happen. Next, you could have a metal plus a non-metal. And when that happens, you get a metal non-metal. So this would be like sodium plus chlorine, and that would produce sodium chloride. Of course, you would have to crisscross the sodium chloride to get that compound. Next, we would have XO plus water, which is what I showed you before on the cover. And that would give you HXO. So sulfur dioxide plus water gives you sulfuric acid. And the oxygen is going to be plus 1 of whatever it was. So, for example, if this was sulfur dioxide, 2 oxygens, this would have 3 oxygens. We'll talk more about this. The other option is a metal oxide plus water is going to give you metal hydroxide. So you're going to take the hydroxide and crisscross it with the metal, and that's what that's going to give you. The other option is a non-metal plus a non-metal, and that's going to give you the two non-metals together. Now, as we know, this can be really complicated because you could have nitrogen plus oxygen, and that could give you nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, nitrogen trioxide, dinitrogen tetroxide. So that can be very complicated. All right, so now we know, if we look at this, that one of the options here is synthesis, and here's how you would identify it, and here's all the possible products. Now, let's look at the next one. The next one is decomposition. So we're going to write our 2 here. Let's go to the next one. 2, decomposition. And this is symbolized by a D in parentheses. Now, this is a really easy. The way that you recognize this is there's only one reactant. See, because if it's decomposing, then if there's only one reactant, only one thing can be happening. It's not reacting with anything, so only one thing can be happening. It's got to be decomposing. All right, so what happens to the products in this one? To me, this is the easiest one to do the products for. The products in this one are so clear. All right, so let's take a look. So, for example, if you have a metal and a non-metal, then they react and they give you the metal. They decompose and they give you the metal plus the non-metal. So they break apart into that. If you have a metal plus carbonate, then it reacts to give you the metal oxide, which of course you have to crisscross, plus carbon dioxide. And then you balance the equation. If you have the metal hydroxide, like sodium hydroxide, decomposes into sodium oxide, NaO, which of course you have to crisscross, the metal, corrected that. It reacts and gives you the metal oxide plus water. So you would take, if it's sodium hydroxide, then it would give you sodium oxide plus water. If you have the metal chlorate, it's going to decompose and give you the metal chloride plus oxygen. If you have the metal nitrate, it's going to decompose and give you the metal nitrite, which of course you have to crisscross, plus. Okay, sorry about that. So if you have the metal nitrate, then that would decompose into the metal nitrite plus oxygen. And then lastly, if you have the metal oxide, so sodium oxide, that would decompose into the metal plus oxygen. Okay, so again, you're going to say, oh, this reaction only has one reactant, so now I'm going to see what my products will be, right? Super easy. All right, so now the next one is single replacement. So this is going to be number 3. This is symbolized by an S and an R in parentheses. Single replacement. Now, in this one, in order to determine the products, you're going to use something called an activity list. And this activity list is going to be in here. See, it's right here, but we're going to glue it in. But here's your activity list, all right? It's sometimes called an activity series. Okay. How do you identify this? It's identified by an element and a compound. That's all, just an element and a compound. So let's take a look. What does it look like? So it has a choice. It can be like this. It can be A. Okay, so inside here, we're going to start with, if we have a metal plus, so A plus BX, metal plus metal, non-metal. Then what's going to happen is the metals plural, are going to battle it out for that non-metal. And if this reaction is going to go, then we're going to end up with AX plus B. Also, we could have X plus AY. Now we have two nonmetals, see, because X and Y are nonmetals. So now we have two nonmetals, and they're going to battle it out for A. And if this reaction is going to go, then we're going to have AX plus Y. Now, so you can see what's going to happen is the X is going to switch to A, or the A is going to switch to X in this case. Also, you could have this situation with hydrogen where you have A, metal, plus water. And if this case works, then what you get is the metal is going to get the hydroxide from the water, plus the hydrogen is going to be released. So you get H2 gas. You also could have the metal plus an acid. So here I have like hydrochloric acid. And then I'm going to get the metal plus the X, same thing. See, the X is switching, but hydrogen is acting as a metal. So I'm going to switch, the X is going to switch to the A, and then what's going to be released is hydrogen gas. Or, one more time, I can have the metal plus an actual like sulfuric acid, nonmetal oxygen, and in this case, that nonmetal oxygen, so sulfuric acid has SO4, is going to switch over to the A, and I'm going to get hydrogen gas again. Now, in all of these cases, hydrogen is acting as a metal. And the reason that we have to write this is because when hydrogen in this case is acting as a metal, this becomes a single replacement because whatever's attached to hydrogen is switching over to the metal. Now, how do we know if these replacements are going to work? So I'm going to show you how to do this later, but for right now, you're going to take this activity series of metals and nonmetals. And you're going to cut it out. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so I've cut mine out, and I'm going to glue it right in here, right underneath. I can center it right underneath here. See that? I'm going to glue it, and it says activity series of metals and nonmetals. And so now, when I go to look up, oh, is this going to go? I have to access my activity list. So I go right here, and my activity list is here. So here I am. I'm going to use my glue stick right here. I'm going to glue this in. Really good. Okay, there it is. So this is the first part of my foldable. I finished the first part of my foldable. So what you want to do is go back and do whatever you need to do to finish all of this part now. And when you're finished with this first part, you're going to take the double-sided sheet, put that into your notebook, the double-sided sheet, write your name on it, put your name on it, name, because you're going to be taking it out and using it. So put your name on it, put it in your notebook, because that's really important for this chapter, all right? And you have these two, put this into your notebook, because you're going to work on this tomorrow. These are the two things that you have for takeaways today. Take your, three things. Take your cut sheet, because you're going to need that for tomorrow. Actually, you know what? You can put this back in the bin, because it doesn't matter if it's yours. All right, so you need these two as your takeaways for today, okay? All right, good job. Put your scissors and your glue stick back in your bin.